fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and Heather D. Tune in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Loramie, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Tune in to the fish report.
Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome to another Fish Report Live. Thanks for joining us. I'm Craig Fissinger. Sitting in for the vacationing Ken Francis is Brandon Coverman. And, of course, back in our sound room tonight, it's TK and Heavy D. We'll check in with those guys a little bit later in the program. And, Kobe, you know, it's lights are out in Studio R tonight. You're in here with the fun group.
Yep, back here again. So I'm spending as much time as I am in here as out in Studio R, so it's a lot of fun.
Well, we're going to talk a lot of high school sports tonight. Going to talk a little regular season, getting ready for a tournament in another sport, and we're going to talk state tournament about another sport.
Yeah, you know, state getting here, you talk about state, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, we're going to go shift to the golf focus here, and we're going just right up the road to Fort Loramie, Ohio, talking to senior leader Zach Pleiman. He's pretty much done every accomplishment you can think of pretty much for a Shelby Counter in terms of golf. Three-time all-SEL first-teamer. You know, this is his second trip to the state tournament, so excited to talk to him.
Yeah, I followed him several tournaments this year or several matches this year. Got to see him and actually got a ride with his dad in one tournament when my golf cart broke down. So can't wait to talk about that a little bit later in our interview, the second half of the show. But let's start things out tonight talking some MAC football. I know you've been breaking down games the last several weeks, talking about each individual game. Don't have time for that tonight, but let's take a look at those MAC standings, where we at, Covey, and what games maybe are you looking forward to tomorrow night?
Yeah, so pretty much just about everything went as expected. You know, I went 5-0 last week in my picks, so I'll brag myself up a bit there. You look at it. You look at some what maybe might be a good matchup. New Bremen at Parkway is probably the biggest that you look at in the area. New Bremen did suffer a setback losing to Coldwater there, but you look at the top four. And the interesting thing that I would keep on, if anyone that watches football, is all those top four teams, as long as they win next week, are going to collide next week. Coldwater plays Marion, actually plays Anna, and Marion Local plays Minster, I believe, on October the 18th. So get ready for that. It's going to be a big MAC showdown there. That's really going to ruffle up the league there and really jockey position there up at the top. But New Bremen and Parkway, the biggest game you're definitely going to look at this week. If you want to flip things over to the CCC Covington National Trail, it's going to be a big game over there. We talked to our Canham coach Jason Schonelmeyer last week. They won. They are 6-0 right now, so pretty impressive over there in Trojan country. Looking at their first playoff berth since I believe 2005. So they just keep rolling, Craig.
They had a close game against Ansonia last week, but won by just 1 point. And then I know, of course, last week you mentioned that big game they have coming up with Covington, I think, in a couple weeks. That's going to be a test of how good they really are as well.
Yeah, it's going to be big, too, for Covington to get in the playoffs because Covington's had a really brutal schedule. I mean, you just look at it. They played Minster and Fort Loramie in the non-conference, and they're a really talented team. And they're up in Division 6 playing in Region 23, so they're in a little different region than a lot of the MAC teams are. But Covington's a really good squad, deserving of a playoff berth. Can win a couple games if they get in the playoffs. They're a talented team.
Yeah, of course, Jason Schonelmeyer, as you mentioned, our guest last week. Happy to see him get that win. One of the guys in our team here mentioned, I think they were somebody's team of the week, maybe on TV this past week. And we found out what a fun guy he was after that interview. Again, so glad that he got that close victory here last week. All right, well, let's change gears a little bit, Kobe, and talk about some volleyball now. And the SCAL just wrapped up their regular season this past Tuesday. They're getting ready for tournament next Tuesday. Things are getting started there. How did we finish things up there?
Well, you could kind of tell by about the midway point in the season where things were going to go. The Fort Loramie Redskins just took absolute control, going unscathed there through the league schedule and just blazing a 20-2 record there. Marushi falling behind at 9-3, had a chance to go 10-2, but ultimately fell to the Anna Rockets on Tuesday night there, the launch pad. Anna falling right behind in 8-4. And look at the pack there, Jackson right in the middle of the pack, sitting at 7-5 in the league, 12-10. Same as Rushi and Anna, But definitely Jackson Center always turns it up a notch at the tournament time. That Kim Metz will have her squad ready to play. They're going to be a dangerous team coming that Southwest District. Then you got Houston, Fairlawn, and Botkins to round out the bottom there.
Well, two guys that haven't missed too many volleyball games this season are back in our sound room, and that's TK and Heavy D. Let's go check in with those guys. And TK, I know you called a few volleyball games this season, and we just looked at those SCAL standings with Fort Loramie on top. You got Russia, Anna in third, and Jackson Center in fourth. All four of those teams with winning records. Is that about what you expected as far as things, how they were going to work out this season?
Yeah, pretty much going into it, that's what it looked like. And as Kobe said, everybody pretty much knew Loramie was stacked with a lot of young talent from last year coming right back, but the rest of them laid right in there where we thought they would be. Probably would have expected Russia to beat Anna the other night, but Anna was pumped up for the senior night, so you got a give and take right there. But yeah, overall, that's where we thought they would land.
Well, guys, all attention now focuses to the tournament. As I said, we start next week with that on Tuesday, I believe. We're very interested in that bracket, those local brackets coming down in that Covington/Troy sectional. So let's take a look at that right now, and let's start out with the Covington 1 sectional. And TK, I'll give that one to you. Who do you see coming out of that bracket?
I think it's pretty easy. Lehman's going to come out of that. They are hot and hot at the right time. Had a big win the other night against Miami East, beat them in 5. A very good team. I called the Russia-Miami East game. Very talented squad. Good history of volleyball at Miami East, and Lehman took them to 5 and won that one. So they'll go through this sectional. They shouldn't have a battle in any one of those games. And I'd say they're probably the dark horse. I'd look for them to put some pressure on a lot of people as this tournament goes on. Especially in the way they're going to go to the south, definitely to the Cincinnati area. Probably a little bit lesser competition. Should move through that as well. So I'd keep an eye on Lehman Cavaliers right now.
So the number 2 seed, an easy one, in your opinion, to come out of that sectional. Let's go to that Covington 2 sectional now. And Kobe, let me give that one to you. I know Jackson Center's in that one as the highest seed at number 4. You called one of their games earlier this season. What do you think about the Tigers?
Yeah, the Jackson Center Tigers there are really, no, I wouldn't say heavy favorites, but they're definitely the favorites. They're obviously looking at the seed line there. You look at Franklin Monroe, they're the 5 seed. They're probably the biggest threat to Kim Metz in that sectional. They did play, Franklin Monroe did play Russia for reference, and they did fall in 3 sets to the Raiders with kind of similar scores that Jackson did. But that's for anyone that doesn't know anything about Franklin Monroe volleyball. I did not get the chance to see them myself. But I obviously have to give kind of the recency bias to Jackson Center. Just saw them play, and you just know how Coach Metz turns on with tournament time. No matter what talent, no matter what hand she is dealt, she always comes out with a positive record, and they always make a deep tournament run. So I like the Tigers in this sectional. Even though you kind of look at Yellow Springs, and they're sitting at 16-1, that's kind of an interesting record to be a 6 seed. So you don't know the competition that they played over there, but I like Jackson Center.
Well, we talked about it earlier this season, guys, and Coach Metz does have that record. I can't even remember the number anymore. It's so high, how many district titles she's rattled off in a row. So you got to think that they're a big threat in that sectional to get out of there. And this is going to be a trying season. What did we say their overall record was? 12 and 10. And, just they were challenged in the league. But we'll see if she's got things together here for a decent postseason run. I'll take the next sectional, guys, and that's the Troy 1. You've got Russia in there as the highest seed at number 3. The next highest seed is number 7, the Tri-Village Patriots. I'll use the common opponent argument there. TK, I know you mentioned earlier about Russia getting beat by Anna the other night. Anna, as you said, senior night there, a lot of emotions for them. Got beat 3-1. Of course, Anna's Division 3, so we don't have to worry about them anymore in the postseason. But the common opponent thing, you mentioned Russia playing Franklin Monroe, beating them 3-0. That was on a Saturday. 2 days earlier than that, Tri-Village played Franklin Monroe and got beat 3-0. So, again, using the common opponent argument, it looks like Russia would be the favorite in that matchup if that were to happen in the sectional finals there. But, yeah, I see Russia got a lot of talent in that team. Didn't show it so much earlier this week against Anna, but I think they come out of that sectional. And as we've been saying this season, Coach Watkins, his motto, what is passing expectations, and for that team, that means getting to the regional tournament, I think, and maybe making some noise there. So in order to do that, they're going to have to get out of the sectional, and I say they do. So our last bracket that we want to go to in that Division 4 local sectional would be the Troy 2, and Heavy D, I'll give that one to you, and look who's sitting in that one.
Yeah, you give me the hard ones there, Craig. Coach Rogers and his team play 1-16 Triad, and when they win that, they'll beat 1-14 Jefferson. I will caution, you play a couple soft games like that, you got to find a way to rebound and get the energy built back up, because they'll win those in straight sets. Maybe those teams might score in double digits in one of the games, maybe not, but you got to find a way to get your team motivated to move forward, because moving into that bracket, they're going to run into the Laymans and the Rushies, and it's got to be ready to go.
Yeah, that's always the thing there with those as you mentioned, those softer games in those first couple rounds. And then another thing is too, you have all your loyal fans coming to those games, of course, family, but you get to the some of your more casual fans. Do they go to those first two rounds of those easy games? A lot of times not. So where's your emotions at, or where's your energy at without all those fans? We'll find out. I agree with you, Heavy D. I don't think they have any problem getting to that, of course. But we'll see what kind of effect it has on them maybe a little later in the tournament. And, for our friends out there that liked watching Division III, I know that Brookville sectional, guys, they got 20 teams in that one. TK, you mentioned Miami East a little earlier. They were the #1 seed in that Brookville sectional. Of course, you got teams in there like locals like Anna, Houston, and Versailles. But after watching the Vikings against Russia, what makes them so good?
Just a lot of volleyball knowledge on that squad. Like I said, and when I was down there, they've got 3 state championships over the last 8 years. It's bred into them, a really good system bringing those kids up. A lot of volleyball being played. So when Coach gets those kids in the high school level, they already know volleyball. So it's just a matter of tuning into where they need to play for that team. A lot of athleticism we saw, and the other aspect of it was they didn't have just one person to go to. They had 3 good girls to go to. And so from a defensive standpoint, you're always wondering where they're going next. The first 2 games, there was a Hood girl from the Vikings playing well, and all of a sudden Sophia Jacomet came on, and she played the 3rd and the 4th really well and really pushed the Vikings ahead there. So a lot of different weapons, and that's what I think separates them from the average team. They can take a one team, or one girl can have a down game or set, and somebody else is going to pick them up. So a lot to work with there on the Viking squad.
And I think extremely strong defensively, all the fundamentals on defense. They weren't making the mental errors, getting the sets up to the front row effectively, just strong with the fundamentals.
And correct me if I'm wrong, TK, but I was listening to your broadcast, and it sounded like they had the pep band there. They had a lot of fan support there, and that certainly helps as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. That was actually a special night. Talked to a couple Viking fans that I happen to know, and they said that happens once a year, and just happened to be the night that the Raiders were in town.
Yeah.
They usually have a good support, but not quite that good on a night-to-night basis. So, but anyways, yeah, good support all around for that Viking squad, and just a little bit special night that the Raiders ran into the other night there.
All right, TK, Heavy D, thanks for that report. And Kobe, I'm excited for tournament now. We're talking tournament volleyball. I'm excited.
Yeah, tournament, it definitely gets exciting, and that's when you really see the best of the best players. Who comes up and steps up to the plate and who really folds is the question. So tournament's always a lot of fun, Craig. All
right, well, we're going to take a short break, but stay right there. When we come back, we're going to talk some more tournament, including the state golf tournament with Fort Loramie golfer Zach Pleiman.
Open stage at the leaving van. Music starts at 8 o'clock. You can find us here every Wednesday night. It's usually the same cats every week, but I can't tell you all their names. Teacher, a cat, and a junkie, all waiting for time to play. Everybody here's got we tried to leave behind. We're all a little broken, looking for a place to hide. Get no answers, don't ask any questions. We're all here just looking for a high. And we're all beautifully broken here tonight.
And welcome back to the second half of Fish Report Live. Kobe, before the break, we were talking some regular season football. Then we started getting excited about tournament volleyball coming up starting next week. And now we're going to talk about state golf tournament coming up this weekend. That brings us to our next guest. He's been one of the top golfers in the area for the past 3 seasons. He earned all SCAL first team honors his sophomore, junior, and senior years. Most recently, he won the sectional tournament a couple weeks ago at Shelby Oaks. He won the district tournament last week down at Glenview. And this weekend, he leads his Fort Loramie Redskins into that state tournament at The Ohio State University. We welcome to the program now Zach Pleiman. Zach, thanks for joining us on Fish Report Live.
Thank you for having me.
All right, well, listen, congrats on what's been an outstanding career so far, one that isn't quite finished yet. I just mentioned some of your accomplishments over the years and just this past year. What kind of things, Zach, have you been working on those last several years or this year to become a better golfer?
Well, to start out, when I was younger, I would like to chip around in my yard about every day. I would believe that this helped build my swing and my short game. This last year, I had to work on a lot, actually. I had to adjust to all my new distances because I grew when I hit the ball a lot farther. And then in the middle of the season, I had to change my putting stroke because it was not looking the greatest, so I wanted to make it look more fluid. And lately, right before the state tournament, I've been working on my short game, such as bunkers and chipping and stuff.
All right, well, this makes back-to-back years that Fort Loramie has gone to the state tournament, but this year it's a little different. Last year you played that North Star course over at Sunbury. This year you play the OSU Scarlet course. For us that aren't familiar with it, Zach, I mean, how does that Scarlet course play any different than, let's say, courses back home, like over here at Stillwater or maybe at Shelby Oaks or Arrowhead? How are those courses different at state?
To start off, the atmosphere is way different. It's amazing. Last year at North Star, it was really cold. The greens were really fast. They were actually the fastest I've ever putted before. North Star, they had more holes that were like spread out a lot longer than courses I've ever played on back here. Their starting grade would be much the same. It is Ohio State's course that their team plays on, and I can't wait.
Hey, Zach, this is Brandon Coverman. You got a really good team, but let's talk about the rest of your roster. Can you tell me about each of your teammates?
Yeah, start off, there's Adam Ballas. He's a freshman, and he has great talent. I used to play with him in golf camps when I was younger, and I was excited that he would be on our golf team when I was a senior. He ended up getting County Player of the Year. And Caleb Meyer, I played with him about every day after work over the summer, either 9 or 18 holes. He can really hit the ball. Really good next year. Our 4-man, Devin Rodman, is a junior. He played a lot this past year over the summer, up getting mentioned in county. He ended up being a solid scorer throughout the year, and he's just a great player to be around. And Carson Barhorst, he ended up being a 5-man at the end of the season. He's been on varsity for the last 2 years. He ended up getting a honorable mention this year, which is great for him. And his scores always seem to be consistent, right under that 50 marker. Aiden Werman, he's another one of the freshmen we have on the varsity team. He played as 5-man most of the season, but he ended up with a 6 at the end of the year. 2 of his career years. I'm just happy to go for football.
Hey, Zach, your head coach, Brad Turner, has been a frequent guest on this show. You know, he coaches golf or softball. Could you share with the viewers anything that he told you before you go to state this weekend?
He's basically just telling us to enjoy the experience just because it's a great course to be at. A once-in-a-lifetime type of opportunity up there at Scarlet and Gray. And he just said, just do what we've been doing all year. Just don't change anything. right at this point in the season.
You know, Zach, you've been so successful on the golf course throughout your entire career. What's your plans after you graduate from Fort Loramie?
I won't mind playing in college golf if I can get an offer from some. As of now, I don't know yet. I plan on doing something mathematical when I get to college. I'm not for sure yet.
All right, well, Zach, well, listen, hey, we got one more question before we let you go. We're kind of running out of time, but I've been lucky enough to follow you several different matches this season and watch you play. As a matter of fact, got to watch you play at the sectional because you actually play with my freshman son, Ross, which was kind of neat. I hope Ross maybe picked up a few tips from you. But the reason I say I was lucky was my golf cart actually broke down on hole number 16, and your dad was kind enough to give me a ride those last couple holes. Got a chance to talk to him a little bit, and it doesn't sound like he misses too many of your matches. Can you talk about your dad a little bit and how much time you spent with him on the golf course over your high school career?
Yeah, I've seen him pretty much every match in my career. He's hardly missed any the last 4 years. As I said, we would usually just chip around the curtain just so that we can get used to being around each other when I golf. I would golf with him just every other weekend for the past 6 years, which is awesome. I'm grateful he's been there and he's taught me everything I know. Shout out to Lyle for being there throughout the season, giving us food for all our homes.
Well, speaking of that ride he gave me, Zach, I don't know how we talked her mom and my wife into walking those final 2 holes, but we were riding the golf cart and the ladies were walking. But we'll save that question for another day. But hey, listen, congratulations on what's been an outstanding career. Best of luck this weekend, and thanks for joining us tonight on the show.
Thank you, and thanks for giving me an opportunity tonight.
All right, Zach. And that was Fort Loramie senior golfer Zach Pleiman. We don't want to forget about, of course, our friends over there at Botkins. They're going to be golfing in that state tournament as well. And then our MAC neighbors, the Minster Wildcats, are in that as well. Lots of local athletes. Should be lots of fun. Lots to pay attention to this weekend.
Yeah, lots of talent there. And, you look at Botkins as a first time. Congratulations to Coach Meyer. Always been a fan of his, even when he was coaching on the basketball floor there for Botkins for that period of time. So it's exciting for Botkins. And Minster, too, they're going to put up an excellent score. They've got an excellent group of 5 guys over there that Coach Stubbs is sending over there.
All right. Well, let's head back to the sound room one more time, Kobe, and checking with TK and Heavy D again. And TK, as we said, there's golf going on. Lots of SCAL athletes still in action. Who are you going to pick for your SCAL Star of the Week?
I think this week, for the first time, we're going to go to the runners, cross country. We're going to hit that up. Been watching the Botkins Trojans for a while. You've been talking about them a lot. They've improved immensely from just having 2 kids on second team last year to probably, arguably, being the highest or the best team in the boys' side of Shelby County League right now. And we're going to talk about Colin Watterson. He is leading that team, running everything in the low 17s to the mid 16s. That team is the Botkins Trojans are 119 and 10. They've got 4 first places, including the county preview. So going into the Shelby County tournament or meet this weekend, got to say they are the favorite on the boys' side to win it. Impressive team over there. Really like the way they've come on. Obviously put a lot of work into the off season to get where they are, and I see them probably taking that title, and I'd look for Mr. Watterson to be up there pushing for runner of the year as well. So great year for those guys. Look for a lot more as we get into the Shelby County tournament, and then on into the rest of the season in the battle to get to state.
Good call with that, TK. Yeah, we didn't even talk cross country tonight. And as you said, the county meet coming up this weekend. Yeah, we'll talk more about that next week, of course. And Colin's actually got a very good teammate, too, Alan Fullenkamp, not too far behind him there. Been running some good times. I know they've jockeyed a couple times for that front spot, but Colin seems to be have gotten that position more times than maybe Alan. But a good 1-2 combo over there for Coach Gutman, that's for sure.
It just seems to edge him out just a little bit, but could have gone either way. Like you said, a great 1-2 combo, and that's what a good team needs. Some good leadership up front, and then pull those other kids along with you.
Absolutely. And Heavy D, anything in the Fish Report mailbag this week?
Yeah, we dug deep and shook around down there, and boy, I don't know. This one comes from Celeryville, Ohio.
Celeryville.
Celeryville.
I'm going to have to look that one up in the Atlas.
It's up by Cleveland. They're famous, honestly, for planting celery. Dear Heavy, is Fish Report your full-time job? Now, the answer is no, but yeah, I wish it was, because we have a lot of fun here. And if it's not your full-time job, what else would you like to do? Well, I've got a hit list of when I, maybe in the future, if I get to retire from my full-time gig, these are the 3 things I would like to do in my retirement. Number 1, phys ed assistant. Phys ed teacher assistant. Not the teacher, but the assistant.
I've seen some pictures of you over the years. You were an athlete as a younger lad, and yeah, I think you would make a good phys ed assistant.
And I think we would just play hockey about every other week. Beat the crap out of each other. Washington, D.C. tour guide, number 2.
That was coming.
Yes, I would really enjoy doing that. That would be that might be number 1. That'd be a lot of fun. I know some stuff. And number 3, if I get the chance, I'd be the kindergarten bus driver.
Now you're asking for it there.
Yeah, I just think that I can relate to that 5th grade 5-year-old mentality about where I
I believe.
Yeah, where I hang it sometimes. So those would be it.
Well, listen, yeah, I wish you were full-time here at Fish Report because you do an excellent job. And a matter of fact, I got to go to on Tuesday night, got to visit the Versailles Lions Club. And that was one of the questions they asked me was, how many of your guys are full-time there at Fish Report? So I had to explain to them how it worked and how we just work for peanuts, literally.
Cashews.
So, yeah, cashews, that's what it is.
It's in the
All right,
contract.
guys, great stuff. That's going to wrap it up for us tonight. Want to say special thanks to our guest, Zach Pleiman, for joining us there at Fort Loramie. Thanks to the viewers out there for tuning in. Kobe and I, the crew, will all be back again. Ken will be back as well next week. Same time, same place. Until then, have a great week, everyone.
Hanging at the Fish Report. 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 For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the Fish Report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the Fish Report. Hanging at the Fish Report. Hanging